Morning, fish keepers. Cam here from the fishroom.co.nz. We've done it again. We've made it to Friday. Let's celebrate with coffee. Oh, that's hot, but good. Oh, it's really hot. Excuse me for being late. I forgot that I hadn't made any coffee. And it was like 2 minutes before 9. I was like, I need coffee. So I ran around and made coffee, and now we're a couple minutes late. But that's okay. So, today we have Mr. John sitting in the background.
Hello.
How you doing?
Not bad yourself?
Good, mate.
I'm
good.
happy. Yeah.
That's good. Good. Happy Friday. Oh, it's only Thursday for you, isn't it?
Still Thursday. But
Still
one
got
day
it.
closer. One day closer.
Still got another day to wait to make it to Friday. All right. So, got a little bit on my wee list of things to talk about today. Not too much, but a little bit. First and foremost, next week is a little bit up in the air whether or not we're going to be able to go live. I'm traveling to Auckland on Friday morning. Originally, I bought tickets. That meant I could structure and schedule our live video just somewhere on site. But the airline have changed my flights. So unfortunately, I don't know whether or not I'll be in a plane or in a bus or able to be on site at 9 o'clock. So a little bit in the air whether or not we'll be able to make next week's live. Fingers crossed I can make something work. That is the plan. It's something we'll work through, but we'll see how we go. So apologies if we don't manage to get a live video in next week. You might end up getting a funny rerun of maybe one of our first ones or something like that. Who knows what's going to happen. So we'll see how we go.
Yep. Open to suggestions also.
Absolutely, yeah. Replays, not live videos, just a random. Maybe we could do a get someone on to do a pre-recorded video and release it on the Friday morning if someone wants to do that. I've got no issues with that as well. There's definitely a few options that we can work around if people are interested in doing or having something different if I can't quite make it. So we'll go from there. Good morning, Rochelle. How you doing? So during this week, we released a new YouTube video. It's basically 3 tips on best practice or best ways of keeping your fish really content and really happy and really healthy, plump and colourful and living their best life. It goes a little bit different to some of the other videos we've done recently. Recently, we've done a lot of review type videos, product reviews and things like that. So it was fun to do something slightly different to that. So if you haven't watched that, jump over onto YouTube and check that out. It was quite a fun little thing to do. So yeah. Also, we've got some fish being released out of our backroom quarantine area today. Off the top of my head, ember tetras, Bolivian butterfly rams,
Nice.
Neon tetras, I think some gold rams, green fire tetras, salt pepper cories, and I know that I'm missing a couple other bits and pieces. There's a few things coming through, not ginormous amounts of things, but enough to refill everything in the shop. So we'll get them out, we'll clear the tanks, and we'll bring some more fish in after that. So if there's something specifically anyone's after, please let me know. I'm more than happy to see if I can find that for you as well. I've got a list of fish that people are looking for, and anytime they pop up on my supply list, I'll get them in for people. So yeah, just if there is anything. Oops, just dropped my phone. Just dropped my phone on something without my hands.
At least it's not the coffee.
No, that hasn't moved. Yeah, so if there's anything anyone's in particular looking for, just shout out. If I can find it, I will more than happily get it in for you. So yeah, easy as to do that. I'm throwing everything around. What else we got? Frozen Food Friday. Today we looked at chopped krill. It's the first time I have used this product myself. So again, most of these frozen foods I haven't used myself. Short of sort of things like brine shrimp, mysis shrimp, bloodworms and things like that. So that was interesting.
Chopped krill, if I can get that out. I used that a lot when I had marine fish.
Yeah.
And it's very for them, it's really good. It's really high protein levels in it for some compared to a lot of freshwater sourced food. So it's really good. especially good for like Malawi cichlids and that kind of thing. I like that.
Yeah, I always thought it was a more of a marine-based food, but I did also know it can be transferred into freshwater.
Yeah.
And I'm also aware that it has the ability to bring out reds in fish as well.
Absolutely.
Which
Fish science. Sorry, there's a slight delay, and that's why I keep talking over you. I don't mean it. But fish science use a lot of krill. Huh.
Yeah.
And their stuff.
Yeah.
For that exact reason.
I'd like to have a wee play around and maybe set up a bit of a test between two different tanks of redfish. Feed one with krill and then one just a more maybe even just like live brine shrimp, for example, and see if there is a particular difference that the colours come through. But yeah, I wouldn't quite know which fish to start with. Maybe rosy tetras or something along those lines. Red phantoms.
Dwarf cichlids are good for that kind of thing. The Epistogramma agassiz, I can never get that right. That one.
Yeah.
The fire red and that, plus maybe like German rams. There's not a lot of red in there, but if it's added, you'll notice it because it will start to show on their throat area.
Yeah. Maybe Bolivian rams might be a better option because there's a bit more red on them.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Blocks with beards.
Right. With fish foods, why are some targeted specifically at certain fish? Are you referring to things like green algae wafers that are specifically targeted for like plecos, for example, and like corridor tablets, which are higher protein based, or is there something more specific that you're trying to get out with that question? I'm not. Yeah. I know there'll be some fish that won't have the ability to eat particular styles of food, for example. Although most fish can probably eat most styles of food, but it'll be a feeding aspect to it, like the Sierra XXL catfish tablets, which are quite large for rasping fish, basically. So they're trying to go for the rasping aspect. I mean, goldfish to goldfish, and tropicals to tropicals.
I think it helps if there's if you're focusing in on a certain type of species, buying a speciality fish food that's got everything that species needs, or pretty much everything. It's got more benefits to having a one fish food fits all and just kind of balancing it out. So the nutritional value when it's designed specifically for certain fish or certain groups of fish, I think it's more beneficial.
Is it also something like a food that's specifically designed for discus compared to a food that's specifically designed for guppies compared to just your generic tropical crumble, for example? And that will be, again, as like John was saying, discus wants something like a higher protein base, guppies want something with more of a algae based, so they'll be pushing slightly different ingredients through the foods to get whatever fish that you're specifically targeting more of a boost to what they need. They're more designed for people that aren't running community type tanks, as an example. Discus breeders with discus only tanks or guppy breeders with guppy only tanks would work really well for specifically purchasing foods that are designed for said fish, as opposed to someone that's got a community of guppies and platies and corridors and stuff like that, which is where you're looking for more of a balanced, all-round type of food.
I totally agree. You don't want to bombard a small fish with a really strong meaty fish that they're not going to be able to digest, because it's going to pollute the tank. It'll clog them up and they might end up with bloat as well. Is another thing you've got to worry about.
Fresh grill. I'm just reading Rebecca's.
Right.
Yeah. Also low in vitamin B12, moisturize your diet, so supplemented. That's interesting. Most of the prawns and krills that was cooked should have removed. The more you know. Interesting. That's for some more things for me to look into.
Every day's a school day.
Yeah, pretty much. Cool. Cool. Slightly went off from where we started on, but that's okay. Also, our podcast with Richie Newell came out today as well. So we spoke to him. He was our last guest of last year at the start of February, from memory. December. Man, I'm really not onto it.
What kind of
last guest of December. Need more coffee. So that was a good time. We spoke about his aquascaping, what he does there, and spoke about his aquarium maintenance business. It was actually a really fun and enjoyable, very relaxed chat, which was nice for the end of the year.
Yeah, especially interesting when he was talking about setting up aquariums on TV shows and stuff like that. You don't think?
Yeah, that was really cool.
You just don't think about that, but it's quite cool. A nice insight.
Yeah. I enjoyed. Just came across as a really, really relaxed, casual, easygoing conversation, which was really nice.
That's really for you.
Particularly at that time of the year, leading into Christmas, everything was kind of frantic, and it was just a nice and calm and relaxed conversation. So I very much enjoyed that one. So if you want to listen to that again, the podcast is available on our Spotify. It's under Aquarium Frenzy. So yeah, and absolutely, Shelley. Once they have got your Wi-Fi sorted, cool. Yep, we will absolutely book you in and give that another go. I'd be very much obliged and want to speak to you on live food. And plenty of people that are keen to do that as well. So we'll get that sorted again as well.
That was such a shame that never worked out.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of people looking forward to that one.
Absolutely, yep, and so absolutely get you sort of that. I'll send you a message when we're done here. I think we are booked all the way through to May, January, March, April, May. Yeah, I think I'm working into June now.
Really?
So we're a little while away, but yeah. So of course, because we do a guest every 2 weeks, those months get pushed out pretty quickly. But yeah, we're set up until beginning of June, I think it is. So we've got a few fun guests coming up over the next few times. So yeah, definitely keen to get you back on again. We'll have a conversation about live foods, because like John said, there was plenty of people that were pretty keen to learn about that and explore that with you as well. So including myself.
I think
what we need
to do as well is put a post out, just letting people know who's coming over the next month. Just to keep track of it and just let them know what's got planned, so we can organise that in the coming week.
Yeah, we've got some pretty exciting guests coming up, I must say. I suspect that most people we're talking to, I would say everyone is either aware of or has somehow been made aware of them at some point, whether or not you've watched their stuff or followed their Instagrams or what have you. But there's definitely some people coming up that a lot of people will know of, and some very, very smart people in the industry. So I'm very much looking forward to it. It'll be a good couple of months. So yeah,
definitely.
And if there's again anybody that you want us to try and speak to, I'm more than happy to begin that conversation with people. It's doesn't matter how big or small they are. I'll see if I can work them out. Everyone's got a story, everyone's got a journey, and if they're happy to explore that with us and talk to us about it, I'm more than happy to talk to people about what they've done with aquariums and stuff like that. So if there's anyone in particular you're looking for or would like to hear from, please just leave us a message or send us a comment. I said that backwards. Man, I'm really off today.
And I'll get that coffee into you.
Wow. Yeah. And I'm going to do the standard obligatory. If you haven't subscribed to us or like us on Facebook, please do it now.
Yeah.
If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, push that button, blah, 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 blah.
So enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic about that side of it. Ryan, Cameron, and myself have, if you aren't aware, have begun our own podcast. It's called
Three Idiots Talk Aquariums. Come on, Cam.
I'm having a shocker today. Thank God, Friday. Right. Let's go again. Yeah, Three Idiots Talk Aquariums. It's a podcast that Cameron, myself, and Ryan have begun. I think we're up to episode 3 or maybe episode 4. We're starting with the sort of more basic entry-level stuff, which ways, what to look for when selecting high-quality fish, ways to set up aquariums, introductions to African cichlids, all that kind of stuff. But as we get deeper into it, we will dive deeper into more intense topics. Pretty much every topic we've done so far, we would have been able to break into 5 or 6 smaller topics and speak for another several hours on it. So we're definitely going to dive deeper as we go through it. We're just starting on a little bit gentlier for everybody, and then we'll go from there. So that's available on YouTube under the name 3 Idiots Talk Aquariums, and as well as on Spotify as well. So get amongst that, have a listen, subscribe, and all that good stuff as well. So yeah, that's a good time.
You're working too hard, man.
Hey?
You're working too hard.
Feels that way.
That's what's going on here. Your brain's needing to catch up.
Yeah. And apologies for those videos that we're doing. We record them at around about 6 o'clock in the morning, so sometimes we'll look a little bit dopey and half asleep because we still pretty much are half asleep and dopey. So it's a good time anyway. So yeah. And last thing that I've got on my list is this week I've been digging through multiple, again, still on the topic of fish food, multiple different fish foods, because I'm going to do a video on selecting what would be considered a high quality food for our aquarium fish. So I'm digging into a few different aspects of that, doing some listening, doing some reading, doing some watching, doing some talking to various people. It's going to be a fairly intense video, I think, but hopefully it gets a little bit more than the other videos and stuff around the place about buying food. It needs to be this and this. I'm hoping to dig a little bit deeper into what's going to work best for our fish. So I'm enjoying doing the research in that, and it's been a good fun time so far. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks it'll be out and everyone can enjoy that one. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for listening, Helen. Much appreciated. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying them. I know we are enjoying doing them. It's other than at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know we're enjoying the discovery and the learning and how to develop that as well. So it's a good time. So yeah. Yeah, live food, frozen food, and rapashi. I agree for the best part. They are good, but we are digging into pre-prepared stuff that you buy off the shelf. Open a container, feed it out, flakes, pellets, crumbles, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty intense topic, and the more I dig into it, the more I believe there is no right or wrong answer. The more I dig into it, the more I believe that there is no perfect wonder food. I think there is good food, and I think there is absolute junk food, and that's about as deep as I can distinguish aquarium or fish food at the moment. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so that's all I've got on my thing. So we can just talk junk for a little while. I'm happy to do that.
Cool. So out of the fish that you've got that are coming out, what would you say is one that you're quite excited to get out and start moving on?
Ember-tetras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think they're really cool fish. I think they're a great fish for people that want to begin in the journey of nanofish, because they're not overly demanding. They have a very striking color, which is fantastic. And when you keep them in good sized groups, they interact really nicely. So I think, and their price point's quite fair as well. So I think they're a really good entry level nanofish species that we have over here.
Do you think they go well in a planted tank?
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very much so.
Popular because the color just bounces off the green backdrop. They just go so well.
Yeah. And that's the same as lemon tetras, which I don't consider a nano species. But the coloration between that and the green, I think, work really, really well. So
definitely
them. And the green fire tetras, I've got a soft spot for them as well.
Right.
I think they're really, really neat, so I'm happy to have them back in the shop as well. So they'll be the two that I'm most excited about at the moment. That's coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the Bolivian Rams, we haven't had them for a while. Every time I've tried to order them, they've been on the order list, and by the time I've got my order in, the supply is sold out. So I'm happy that I've managed to grab a group of them. I might hold back. I might hold back 4 or 5 and see if I can get a pair. So that doesn't happen again. Hopefully, have a constant supply of them if required. But yeah, I'm happy to have them. They're a nice little fish. I don't think they're quite as pretty as the German Rams, but what you lose in colour and body shape, I think you get in hardiness, which is a nice bonus.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't think the body shape's that bad at all compared to.
No, it's not the body shape. For me, it's the face structure. The eyes are quite bulging, which I don't like, and I think the face looks a little bit like a beak, which I also don't like. So the body shape's fine. It's the face part of it I'm not a huge fan on it, and I don't think you get quite the same colours as you do from the German Rams.
No.
But again, you get, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 times a hardier fish than what the German Rams are. I don't want to say bulletproof, but they're a really, really good entry-level dwarf cichlid because they are really hardy and they go with lots of different things.
Yeah. And they're so placid as well.
Yeah.
Compared to like the pistogrammas and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
Totally.
Yeah, and you're right, Rochelle, we can't get rainbow shiners here whatsoever, to my understanding. Celestial Danios are definitely here, and there's only a few people holding on to them, and they're not really being moved around, unfortunately. I don't believe they'll be imported again. To my understanding, they're not allowed to be imported now. So what's here is here. Hopefully,
I managed to pick up some Celestial Daniels, and they're like that size.
Yeah. You were saying you got some this week, yeah. They're real pretty fish. I wish we could get
showing
them.
showing the red already. So
Gorgeous.
cool. Yeah.
The other one that I wish we could get is the green raspora. I know Chris was speaking about them the other week. I had a customer come in maybe 2 months ago asking about them, and they're not on our available list, but they're a really stunning fish as well. Which would be another one to be cool if we get hold of, but we just can't. But it is what it is.
Yeah, makes it all the better when you do get a hold of them.
Yeah, well, they won't be here, so they're not allowed on our whitelist. They're not on there at all, so they'll never be bought in. But they're definitely a nice fish. So, yeah.
Any nice catfish coming through?
Coming through for me or coming through for the shop?
For you.
I may or may not be picking some Queen Arabesques up this weekend, which I really, really like. I think they're a stunning fish. Fish shop owner Cam needs to sell them to make sure the fish shop doors stay open. Fish shop hobbyist Cam says, "Man, I really want to keep these fish because I think they're gorgeous." So I'm not quite sure what we're going to do there as well. And also picking up a couple of zebra plecos this weekend as well. They will be.
Oh, next one.
They'll be for sale. But yeah, the Queen Arabs have got a little special place in my heart, so they may or may not make it to the shop floor. I'm not sure just yet. So we'll see how we go. The shop Cam should sell to hobbyist Cam. Solution. Yeah, all the tanks out the back are slowly but surely being filled up with various species of plecos and various species of corridoras, with the sole intention of spawning them in the future. Everything's still growing out. In fact, most of the tanks at the back have got fish in there with the sole intention of spawning them in the future. But they're all filling up pretty quickly, so we'll see how we go with that.
You're gonna have a full-on breeding house.
Well, I've got the room to do it, just don't have the glass boxes at the moment, so yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah. Breed the fish.
In the shop?
Breed the fish, and then you can have your fish and sell them to it. This is almost like having my cake and eating it too. You're right. We're dabbling around with dwarf African cichlids. So I've set the tank up for that. I've got one Julie transcriptus in there because I don't like them, and I bought a whole bunch of fish, so that was easy enough for me to try and sell it straight away. I bought some bracciati, but they're not very good. The face structure of them isn't correct. There's something that aren't quite right there, which I'm annoyed at. So I'm not quite sure what to do with them. They'll be good. They'll be absolutely fine pets for somebody, but they won't be very good for breeding. And we all know that bracciati breed like flies, so I'm not entirely sure what to do when it comes to that. It's a matter of finding good bracciati. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to breed them. And I've got some gold-haired Altolambricus sitting out the back as well. It looks like a male and a female, and it looks like they're beginning to show some sort of interest in each other. So I was always on the fence about whether I sell them or not because I do like gold-heads. I like altos. But now they're showing signs of potential spawning. I might set them up to do so and try and get some fry out of them as well because they're a really nice fish, and we don't have a lot of species of altos here, unfortunately. So, yeah. That's where it's at as far as that sort of thing goes.
So it's all systems go by the sound of things.
Yeah, it's not so much a time thing at the moment. It's a tank space thing.
Yeah.
I can't hold up too many tanks to get fish in and out. If hold a fish for a couple months and there's no spawning on them, it's not that it's a waste of tank space because they'll spawn when they want to spawn. It's just trying to make sure I continue the flow of fish coming into the shop as well as breeding projects at the same time. So
I get that, yeah.
Just a bit of wiggle room.
How are you getting on with the plants? What month do you kind of hold back shipping things out? Or do you
it's only really the peak of winter, and that's only because things like the trucks and the roads become delayed, not so much for the temperature.
Right.
The plants seem to handle the shipping fairly well all year round, which is nice. They do slow down. We're not far away from all the plants beginning to slow down, at least from the wholesale side of it. So my understanding is all the wholesalers grow from greenhouses.
Yeah.
And they're running on natural sunlight. So as the natural sunlight dies down, the plant growth dies down, and the warmth comes down as well. So that's why things like Glossostigma is very seasonal in New Zealand. Only really the peak of summer that it's available, and then another little burst. I think it's early spring or late autumn. Sometime around there's another burst of them, and then that's pretty much it. And then it comes back into again late spring really heavily as well. But because we're growing everything out here with artificial lights and the room temperature should be fairly warm most of the time, I don't think there'll be too much of a delay in the in the plants growing through, as long as the plan works, basically. So yeah, plants at the back are growing really well. Java fern has taken and growing really, really well. Anubias is taking really well as well. It's growing a bit slower than the Java fern, but it is all establishing really well. It's going well. Dwarf Sagittaria is well and truly bedded in and beginning to produce lots of runners, which is nice. I should have a steady supply of that in a few months' time. Twisted Vallisneria, grown underwater, not out of water, because it can't be grown out of water, is bedded really well and producing nicely. All the tiger lotuses are beginning to get really strong mother plants as well. I'm not sure how I'm going to harvest them. Got to kind of pull them up to get pups out of them, but pull them up disturbs them and they don't stay as solid, if that makes sense. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to harvest through that. It might be a case of harvesting from one, taking the pups from it, putting them into little pots, then growing them on, or maybe planting a few more mothers. So there's a flow of mother plants being harvested from. I'm not entirely sure how to work with them yet, but the plants themselves are growing nice and strong, which is a good sign. I've nailed blue hygrophila stem plants, growing immersed just fine. Nearly there with water wisteria, not quite, but nearly there. Still struggling with Ambulia. Can't quite get that one right. Amazon swords are going fine. All the crypts are going fine. In fact, the crypt Wenditai is looking phenomenally good at the moment, so that's a good start. So we're kind of moving. All of the what I would call forever plants are growing really well. It's the
Good.
stem plants are the best part that I'm struggling with. I'll try different medias to grow them, and we'll see how we go. So yeah, it's getting there. Again, not enough bodies of tubs to grow them at the moment, not enough lights, so it's just a bit of a wiggling game. I'm trying to keep it one species per tub, which I think is the best way of doing it. So just wiggling around and see how we make that work.
Good.
Yeah.
And sorry?
I just said we just had a couple of questions up there. So what were you about to fire away with?
We're just going to ask how you were getting on with your live foods project.
Yep, that's going all right as well. Had a few issues with brine shrimp hatching.
Mm-hmm.
I've managed to nail that down really significantly easy as well. Vinegar eels are going well. White worms are going fine. What else? Daphnia I haven't re-colonized since having the issues with it. And microbes are going fine as well. So for the best part, most things are going okay. Now it's working on how to continue to move them from one place to another, keep them shelf stable and all that kind of stuff. That's the real tricky part that I haven't managed to nail. The growing and the cultivation is fine, but it's the moving them from one place to another that's the next thing to try and unlock, unfortunately. So yeah.
And that's probably the toughest part as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting them in the fridge, I think, is going to be an option, which would then mean, I guess, they have to go into a small poly box to send them, and maybe a small ice strip or something, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like a little freezer pack, something like that.
Yeah, something. It's got to nail that transport part of it, and then we're halfway through the battle. So.
Mm-hmm.
The best time to order plants, now is an okay time to order plants. Better time would have been in sort of around about December, early January sort of thing. That's when, in fact, early January, when everyone's come back to work from having a couple of weeks off, is absolutely the best plant time, because all the suppliers have been growing them for a couple of weeks but not sending them, so they normally come in absolutely massive. The plants are still coming in okay at the moment. I haven't really noticed any of them that are smaller than they should be, but that will be beginning to happen over the next sort of 6 weeks or so. The size of the plants come through a lot smaller, so at the moment it's still a fine time. It's when you get into early winter, late autumn, that's when the plant sizes come in quite small, and I feel a bit weird and a bit not okay sending out some of the plants when the sizes that they come in, but that's what we're trying to rectify by having our own grow tubs out the back, and as soon as they start coming in small, we'll be able to pick from our stuff and still provide a bigger size plant. Yeah. And Cameron asked if I buy plants off hobbyists. As a general rule, I don't. In particular, stem plants, I don't buy off hobbyists. Couple reasons for that. One, it's a quantity thing. People say I've got a bunch of plants to bring in, and you get sort of 6 or 7 stem plants, which isn't really enough to do any more than one bundle, so it's not able to get a sustainable amount going for that. And secondly, more often than not, because hobbyists are growing their plants underwater, it's coming with potential issues like snails and algae and stuff like that, and that's where buying plants immersed from the wholesalers kind of beat that, because there's no chance of algae or parasites and all that kind of stuff coming in. So definitely not for stem plants. For things like crypts and sword plants and Nubius, Java ferns, all that kind of stuff, I absolutely do. I'm more than happy to buy them off people. Often I'll buy a bunch of Java fern off someone, and I'll just put them straight into our growing tubs, or something along those lines, just to continue to bulk up those numbers. Or I will set them onto bits of wood and let them attach to that, so they can produce Java fern on wood and that sort of stuff. So depending on the plant is kind of the way that's answered. But yeah, for stem plants, generally no. But for forever plants, swords, crypts, aponogeddons, all that kind of stuff, Anubias, Java ferns, I will more than happy to buy them off people, because there's there's a way that I can work with them that's not just a direct purchase to sell, if that makes sense.
Yeah, good stuff.
And often the hobbies you can pick up, like saw plants, for example, that don't come through commercially grown places, like the Echinodorus malthi, which is an absolutely stunning plant, but it doesn't get grown at wholesale. So if I can buy something that I can't get at wholesale, then I can begin to grow. I'll absolutely do that as well. So polysperma, sunset looking, and how do they still come in pots? And do they still come? So there's 2 suppliers that sell sunset polysperma. One of them, so both come stems, both come potted. One of them do really good stems, just bunched. The other ones do really good potted. So I'm aware of which. So when someone buys a polysperma pot, I'll make sure that I buy the pot from the supplier that produces the better pots. So the difference in that is that one supplier that they will put your plastic pot, your rock wool, and they'll just stick 3 stems in with a lead band on it, and then they'll send it out. The other supplier sticks about half a dozen, 7 or 8 stems in it, and it's been growing out in a semi-submerged state. So the roots are coming through quite strong, and the plants themselves are about 3 times the size. So that's where I buy the pots from. So when I know the suppliers have got a better product than others, I'll go with the better product. And Sunset Polysperma in pots is absolutely one of those ones. There's a supplier that does significantly better than that in that particular plant. Now, I've been having a conversation with somebody who has a very strong botany background, and he is very strong in believing that potted stem plants are pointless, because when you take your plant out of the rock wool and plant it, the plant itself will lose all of those roots that they've grown, and they'll establish new ones. So I'm not entirely certain on that one, but he said in particular stem plants seem ridiculous to be selling in pots, and they should only be sold in bunches. So I'm not entirely sure how I haven't dug enough deep into that, but he's definitely triggered me to have a wee think about that one. But I can assure you that the polysperma sunset pots come in from one supplier a heck of a lot nicer than the other ones. So and a lot of the potted stuff comes in a lot nicer than the other ones. So yeah, if that all makes sense.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah. What is my favourite aquatic plant? So I can break this down into what I call forever plants, like I was talking about before. So forever plants for me are ones that you grow, you buy, you grow, and they actually live without a heck of a lot of maintenance that goes involved with them. Cryptocorynes are probably one of my favourite plant species. Echinodorus is another one. Anubias, Java ferns, Aponogetons. They're kind of the 5 that I really love and really enjoy, because they are, once you've bought them, they don't tend to die unless they get a disease of some description, compared to, say, stem plants that need a lot of work, they need a lot of trimming, you need to fertilize them all the time to get them really, really cranking along. And I think a lot of people have a lot of issues growing plants when they're growing stem plants, because generally speaking, they're a lot cheaper than what forever plants are. So, my favourites would be something in the Cryptocoryne, Echinodorus, Anubias, Java fern, or Aponogeton range. Probably Cryptocorynes, because I think they're absolutely stunning family of plants, and there's so many variations and varieties of them. And we get a lot of different variations and varieties of them here, which is nice as well. So something in that range would be up there.
Do you guys the Hygrophila pennatifida or pennatifida?
No.
Do you not get that?
No.
That's a stunning plant.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favourite ones.
Yeah. I know a lot of people complain that we're limited in plants here in New Zealand. I actually think we've got a fairly good range.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't. There's definitely plants that people wish we had that we don't have, but I think we've actually got a really good range of plants here It just, it depends on what you're looking for. But I personally think we've got some really nice plants available to us in New Zealand. Some are a lot rarer than others. Anubias Nana Gold, for example. There's plenty of people with it, but it's just not commercially grown, which makes it harder to get hold of. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to plants, because there's a lot of them here, but there's a lot that aren't commercially grown. So that's what makes people's selection a bit harder, because they'll go to a pet shop and there's only 10 different species. But the reality is there's heaps of them around in different hobbyist homes. So overall, I think we're pretty good with plants for the most part, to be totally honest. I hope that answered your question, Rochelle. And just jumping back up to Cambia, Ambulia is coming ridiculously small as well. Ambulia slows down a lot quicker than a lot of other stuff, and depending where you buy it from, some of the commercial growers are growing it submersed, which is going to be a lot smaller than immersed as well. So depends on where you're buying that from, but yeah, Ambulia is definitely slowed down a lot quicker than everything else. So yeah. Right. I know you had another one that you brought up before.
Where's it gone now? No.
I think Brian said he wants Crinums.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Crinum's good.
Crinums in there. Yeah. So my one's growing slowly. Really hard to get them established. Once they're established, I wanted to pull it out and put it into one of the display tanks that I've just built up, but I don't want to pull it apart because they take so long to establish, and I feel I just want to maybe leave it there and let it do its thing for a while, and then maybe get some pups. So that would be the ultimate for me. I've never produced extras.
If you do decide to move it, trim the roots back into a ball before you replant it.
Okay.
That tends to work well.
Okay, cool. No. Yeah. The last one I had it for years and never managed to get it to produce anything. It grew really well. It looked phenomenal. It was a big plant. It never produced anything, which disappointed me a little bit. So I think that would be my ultimate, to try and get that to produce some extra pups, which would be nice. But yeah, for now it's just doing its thing, growing along. So yeah,
enjoying life.
Pretty much. I feel more awake now that I've now finished my coffee.
Good.
It was a bit of a rough start.
You've not made a mistake in quite a while now, so
yeah, just needed a bit of time to wake up, I think. So
yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's what's happening with us. All the guppies that had been producing over summer are going nicely now. Doesn't look to be many new ones fry coming through, but what was there are coming to a good size. Not quite big enough to sell, but probably 8 weeks away, and there'll be a lot of absolutely stunning guppies running through. So I'm happy with that. What
kind of colours are you getting through on them?
We've got kois coming through, sunset, which I absolutely love. They are phenomenal. We've got some leopard tails, which are quite nice. Not as nice as the sunsets. Some platinum floras, which are okay. The males aren't throwing true, which disappoints me a little bit. And what else? Pink flamingos, or gold flamingos, sorry. They're a really nice looking fish. And the platinum whites that I got in a couple of weeks back are definitely being kept back to spawn from. So they are just a pure white with almost a slight blue tinge to them. Nice. They are absolutely stunning. So I can't wait to start producing them. Absolutely beautiful. So there's lots coming through. So hopefully in the next couple of months there'll be some absolutely amazing guppies ready to rock. And also got a few swordtails coming through quite nice as well. Orange tuxedos, which are quite pretty, and the straight oranges are coming through as well. And the lemons are beginning to come through too. So there's a few swordtails that are working their way through. As soon as I see some mollies available on the wholesalers, I'm going to be playing around with hopefully some silver mollies and some Dalmatian mollies, trying to work through them always dying so quickly. So just see how we go with that.
You gotta love the live bears.
Yeah, they're a fun time. beginning to dismiss the thought that guppies are average. No, I'm not going to say it quite that way. People have issues with guppies, and
Yeah.
I believe a lot of it comes down to into breeding and too much breeding, which is true, but also I don't think they're kept quite the way they need to be or be fed the way they need to be. So I'm trying to do what I can do about producing some really nice guppies, and hopefully they're a bit stronger than some of the other ones that you find around the place. So
yeah. I think as well, if you're going to keep guppies, you have to keep renewing the parent, the older ones, because there's only so many times they'll breed, and then you start, like you were saying, you get problems and the back starts to go funny in them, and
yeah. So like this is just first generation stuff, at least first generation in this building. So who knows how old they are or how many generations have been run through. But I'm thinking once they'll begin to show a little bit stronger, then I'll find a couple of stronger males and put them back over to a younger female, or even one of the stronger adult males to a younger female, and just try and strengthen them up a little bit that way as well.
Yeah, you've got to do something.
Yeah. Genetics are wild, so or even begin taking out the older males and females that have been around for a little bit longer, and then not letting them produce with some of the other ones. I'm not quite sure. I'm not really deep on guppy genetics, but need to work out a way of making them a little bit stronger, because I think the imported ones that we get, the line bred ones, are really, really good. It's when they get into the same blood family or into the same environment for so long, that's when all the issues come through. So trying to work around.
We had a guest on a while back now who was talking. Yeah, that's right. He kind of dived into that quite a bit, didn't he?
Yeah. So, might revisit that as well. But yeah, the tanks are absolutely swarming with guppies at the moment, which is really cool. You'll probably see them on some of the videos we're doing for the frozen foods, because there's so many that they're fun to take videos of. But begins showing some nice colour soon. We'll start pushing them through a little bit. But yeah, so always on the market for some nice guppies. And saying that, I've had some black Moscow now for 18 months, and I think I've only had 2 or 3 fry from them. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing there. Something's not quite going right with them.
Yeah, I've never had any success with them either.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah. This is the first time I've had any success breeding guppies at all in my life.
Really?
It was a long time joke for myself that I couldn't breed guppies. I could keep them alive. There's no dramas. I could never produce them. But there are these 3 or 4 tanks at the moment that are swarming with them has now knocked that out of the way. So I'm okay with that.
Good. So, I once had a corner tank that was absolutely full of neon lyre-tail endlers.
Oh, yep.
It was just pulsating with this kind of neon blue. It was crazy. I'd never seen so many in my life. It was really cool though. Yeah. Really cool.
Just like any fish, what one person likes, another person won't like. I'm absolutely smitten with these sunset guppies. I think they're the most nicest looking guppy I've ever seen. Maybe the platinum white's beaten them, but anyway, like they're right up there. But then anyone that sees the koi's are like, oh man, these koi's are amazing. Well, yeah, they're nice, but I don't think they're quite as nice as the sunsets. But yeah, again, what one person likes, another person doesn't. So
yeah, exactly. Did you see the picture that was shared somewhere? That was a crown tail guppy.
I did not.
Yeah. I don't know if it was real or not. It looked real, but it was a crown tail guppy, almost like the fight, the betas.
Yeah, wow.
Exactly the same kind of tail, but it was in a guppy, so you can imagine it was a lot smaller.
Cool. I've got a friend of mine that's right into guppies, so I'll ask her a few questions and see if they're legitimate or if it's someone playing funny buggers with Photoshop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's
it was either Oliver Knott or Chris Lookout. It was one of them two, I'm sure it was.
Yep. You would hope them with, unless they're taking the piss out of something, with the people they are, that they would be a proper serious one.
Yeah.
You just actually reminded me that we've got some very nice betas that have come through in the last little while as well.
Good.
Koi Galaxy plaquettes, I think they are. Koi Galaxy
Nice.
something or other. They're really, really pretty. I think about 10 of them. Yeah, they're up there with that. So I think they're due to come through in about a week's time, give or take. But there are some very, very nice bidders in there. So if you're a fan of them, they will be ready to rock and roll in about a week's time. So
and are they going into your new betta tanks?
Yeah, some will go into there. So I think I've got four completely set up. I still haven't put the substrate and everything into the other one of the 6. So one's already got a resident. So I've got about 10 of them. So at least 3 or probably 2 will go in there. And I've got a couple other nice males hanging around at the moment, which will go through as well. So the rest will possibly make their way through the shop tanks to get them out there. There's males and females available, which is really cool as well. So
nice one.
Yeah, they're very, very, very nice looking fish. So they should sell quite nicely, and I think there'll be some people, very happy people, with some very nice bidders coming through there. They're beautiful as far as coloration goes. Probably has to be said, genetics-wise, tail types and all that kind of stuff with bidder, I'm not really that onto it with. I still see them as this is a pretty looking fish with a gorgeous coloration, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I view them, and I know there is some breeders that don't like that kind of mindset, and that's fine. That's the way they are. But I see a really pretty looking fish, better color wise and that kind of stuff, and that's what takes me, as opposed to the perfect tail shapes that better breeders look for. So I think
take into account when I say when you're starting to look at them to that degree of description and critique, that's when it's competition level, and that's a whole different thing altogether. But for the majority of hobbyists, like 90% of them are like us. It looks good, nice color, active, healthy. It's perfect.
Yeah, and it comes down to pets or breeding. Like the bracciati I've got out there, they're no good for breeding, but they'll make it absolutely fine pet fish into your aquarium.
Yeah.
But because bracciati breed so rapidly, it's a catch-22 for me. And I'm all for people trying to improve genetics, improve quality of fish. Like absolutely, that's a great thing that we need to be doing.
Yeah.
But I'm also aware that some people just want a really nice looking fish that they can call their own and come home to every day and enjoy their fish at the same time. So it's a little bit of a tearing point there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What aqua soil is my recommendation? Okay, so there's a couple of different schools when it comes to aqua soil. I'm a little bit older minded, and like most people say, aqua soil, they're talking about those little black balls, which in New Zealand we're pretty limited to. Aqua Solemn is one that's done by Seachem, which I've used previously and I've been pretty happy with. I'm currently using that in one of the betta tanks at the moment. There is Golden Tree, which we don't sell and I've never tried. Aqua House down in Christchurch have got a couple of different varieties of aqua soil that have just recently come in as well, which again I haven't tried, and I believe the Tropica stuff is here now as well, which I haven't used. So there's those ones. I've only used one. I've only used the Aqua Solemn, which I thought was absolutely fine. Or then there's the other thought when you talk about aqua soil, and that's like the dirted compound like JBL Aquabasis, which I think is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's good, but you've got to be careful to disturb that.
Yeah,
and it just pick up something crazy.
Yeah. If you're the sort of person that likes to move their plants around on a regular basis, I don't think any aqua soil is going to be a good option.
No.
If you're the sort of person that's more than happy to plant them and walk away, then JBL Aquabasis is absolutely amazing. Or you can go down the route of Dalton's Aqua Dirt, Aqua Soil, whatever it's called, from Mitre 10, which is really cheap. But it works really well. But again, you've got to be really careful not pulling plants up. You start pulling plants up, you're in for a world of hurt with algae. So just releases everything into the water, and then it just begins a battle of algae basically. So
yeah,
I'm a big fan of Aquabasis. I'm using it in the shop. I've used it out the back here. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, but it does have to be capped with something. I've capped it with Monado in the shop. I've capped it with General Sand, which is just fine. I've capped it with gravel or small fine chip gravel type stuff, which is fine. So if you are going to use it, you have to cap it really, really well.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you can just use an inert sand and then put root tabs underneath it as well. That works pretty good too.
Yeah. You can also put the soil and put like silica sand on top. Like a good, not just a cap, but like half and half. And that way the roots get down to the aqua soil. And if you've got plant species that like to sift through, they're going to do what they do, but they're not going to disturb the actual soil itself because it's too low down.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of setting up a substrate really deep as well. I think too often when people have issues with plants, their substrates, where's my camera, really thin. When you start getting a really thick substrate, that's when your plants really begin to go.
Totally.
So whichever method you use, a deeper substrate will go a long way. Always buy more than you think you're going to need. A general rule of working out how much you need, same way as you calculate your aquarium length by width, and then how much height you think you're going to need. So, I know 1 meter by 500, and you want to go 4 centimeters. So 1 by 5 by 4 gives you roughly how many liters, which is equivalent to how many kilograms you need, give or take. But always get more than what you think you're going to need, because when it comes to substrate, generally speaking, the deeper, the better, and the easier it's going to be for your plants and for you in the long run.
Yeah. 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, and also agree, deep substrate is awesome in general, not just for plants, but plants really, really go well with a deeper substrate. So I'm sure many of you are aware of Dustin from Dustin's Fish Tank. Several years ago, he put out a video that I watched. Basically said, like, in the wild, plants are digging into substrates that are unlimitedly long, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 foot deep. And that, to me, was just a click on me. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. These roots have got the ability to just wander through this deep substrate when they're growing. So, and that goes for any outdoor plant, indoor plant, whatever it is. The substrate is normally quite deep for them to work with. So that was the mindset shift. Well, actually, if we're trying to replicate nature, a deep substrate, and then went down that sort of rabbit hole of investigating and playing around with. So yeah. And yeah, the undergravel filters, I don't actually believe are available at wholesale anymore. That's why you probably don't see them in shops these days. They've absolutely gone out of vogue. It's not actually a filter that I've ever played around with. I had some, as you do, you buy a bunch of aquarium stuff secondhand. So I have had a whole bunch of them, but I never got around to playing with them. But yeah, I don't think they are available at wholesale anymore, which is why you don't see them around anymore.
That's a shame. They've definitely still got a place.
Yeah, I think so too. One of my customers absolutely loves them, and so she, anytime she finds them, pops up anywhere, she'll grab as many as she can. She absolutely loves them, and they work really efficiently. They do what they need to do. Yeah, I think corner filters and sponge filters have kind of taken over that under gravel filter type concept. So yeah. There you go. Brian said he bought one off Amazon. Cleanest tank he's had, and Cam said if you want them, he can get them. So if you don't know Concept Gaming, Cameron is the aquarium project up in Auckland. Maybe give him a message on Facebook or something like that. You might be able to hook you up with a few under gravel filters. Look at us. We're all networking. Look at us go.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh. Right, so that's what I've got. That's what I had a while ago. So, any other thoughts or questions or comments?
Yeah.
Anybody? We got something from Shelley. I'm not super sold on sponge filters. It's not that I don't think they work, and I absolutely agree. They're amazing for bacterial colonization.
In a shrimp tank, now I know you guys don't get shrimps, but
Yeah.
in a shrimp tank, they're perfect because of the
Yeah.
growth that comes in them, and they just work perfectly.
Yeah. I'm running sponge filters at the back. It's not that I don't like sponge filters, because I do know they work really well. It's the noise that annoys me, and I don't think they are great for display aquariums and lounges and stuff like that, where people often get pissed off by the sound of an aquarium. I don't think that's the right solution. In a noisy fish room, yeah, they're great. I've had 2 sponge filters filtering an 1,100 litre tank when I had Jags, Texas, really big plecos, and all that kind of stuff. The water conditions, there was never any ammonia, never any nitrite, like brilliant for bacteria colonization. Mechanical, I thought they were fairly average, but for that size fish at least. But yeah, bacteria colonization, they're absolutely amazing for that. So yeah, I'm still not super on board with sponge filters, but not on board, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I still like canister filters, and no one can take that away from me with you. Yeah, what your opinion is.
Yeah. Canister filters are the ultimate one for me in any tank, because you can adapt them. You get all the benefits of sponge, media, flow, and the options for putting the water back into the tank as well. You can even put sponge over the outlet pipes a lot. So definitely.
Yeah. What I don't like with canisters is when you're trying to just open a clear box of just underwater goodness with all the pipes coming in and out, which is where obviously sumps win. But 30 litre tank with a sump on it makes no sense. So yeah.
No.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, you can get glass pipes. You can get perspex or plastic ones like this kind of thing now, although that's quite dirty. But so there are ways to reduce the impact of the pipe work.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm also a fan of hang-on backs. Just unfortunately, I think they're going out of fashion here in New Zealand, so there's less and less of them coming in. We had the Seachem titles; they're not here anymore. We had the Aqua Clears; they're not coming in on all the sizes anymore. And then we've got the Aqua One ones, which I don't think are all that good. Just the way that they are, the way that they're configured makes them quite awkward to make them permanent solutions without having to take the cartridges in and out, which is a shame. So yeah, I don't mind the hang-ons. I'm playing around with the Marina Slimlines at the moment with the in the better tanks. So far they're okay. I've got 6 running, and there's at least one of them that's far too noisy for my liking that I'm always fiddling around with, which is annoying. I like how thin they are, and I like that I've been able to modify them to make them permanent filtration units, which has been fantastic. So, and I like that they've got a pre-filter on them, which I think is pretty good as well. So it comes like that. So, yeah, so far so good with them for the best part. But yeah, it's a shame that some of the other hang-on backs aren't coming through here, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, CFs I think are some of the best bang for buck filters canister filters that we can get here in New Zealand. A couple $100 for what is an incredibly reliable unit. They just do what they're meant to do. No bells, no whistles. Just water goes in, water gets filtered, water comes back. I think they are brilliant units for the price you pay. And I think easily one of the more economical ones and reliable units that we can get in New Zealand for sure, without a doubt in my mind. Doesn't sound like Rebecca's a fan of hang-on back filters.
No, you don't see them a lot over here. I mean, you can get them, but fish shops don't carry them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you can buy them online, but it tends to be more internal or canister.
Can we all agree that internal filters suck?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm really not a fan of internal filters.
No. I've had some that have been okay, but the process of cleaning them, you can never do it without spilling
Yeah.
gunk everywhere.
Have you played with the Fluval U series hang-on filters?
No, I've not actually.
Okay. So in true Fluval form, they have over-engineered their internal filters incredibly well. So they've got your suction cup thing, and then your filter clicks onto it. So you don't take the whole lot out every time. You unclick it and then pull it out. So your cradle sits there, so you're not pulling off the cups all the time, which I think is part of the reason they fail all the time. So it clicks in, which I think is brilliant, and it just makes that cleaning up a little bit easier and makes maneuverability a little better. And on top of that, they've also got, from memory, 2 sponges that go on the side, so the water gets drawn in from the side. Unfortunately, it's cartridges, and I don't think they're maneuverable as well. But they come through, and then you can even adjust the return of it, whether it's up top or whether it's in the middle of it, like a spray bar type thing. So I think the U's are really, really good. It's just a shame that over here they're ridiculously expensive and they price themselves out, in my opinion, to what they should be being sold at. But yeah, well and truly one of them, the internals with bells and whistles all the way through.
I'll need to look into them.
Yeah. In fact, yeah. So yeah, Brian and Rebecca obviously in for the eHeims. Only thing I don't like about the eHeims is the plastic spike that goes way through that the sponges sit on. Frustrates me a little bit. If they didn't have that, I think it'd be quite good because you can put your sponges at the bottom and then some more mechanical filtration. Biological filtration on top or on the bottom, depending on what it is. We sell a few of the eHeim internals. I think they are, again, pretty good. I like the colour of them as well. The green colour blends in a bit more.
Yeah, it does.
Personally, I think that the Fluval ones are nicer than the eHeim, but I can give credit for the eHeims there. The one that the internal filter that I think is the best bang for value in New Zealand is the cheapest one available, which is the tank made one. So it's Blue Planet. Do you have Blue Planet over there?
No, we don't know.
Okay. So I believe it's an Australian brand. It's ridiculously cheap and it's ridiculously simple. So it's basically 2 or 3 cartridges, slots, water goes up, water goes out. It is that simple. They are a little bit uneconomical power-wise running them, but they are incredibly good bang for buck for how cheap they are and the amount that I've sold. Hardly ever have I had anyone with any issues with them. Every now and then it's a rattly impeller, which is pulling it apart, putting it back together. They are easily one of the best internal filters that I've found for how cheap they are for what they do. But as a general rule, I think internal filters suck. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Well, we're having trouble with John. Are we having trouble with John?
Me?
We are. We're having a bit of trouble with you, buddy. Or is it my end? Might be my end because I'm pushing buttons and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Rochelle asked, I'm just going to keep we're back. Is it my internet or your internet? Someone's internet.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Must be my end. The internet here is terrible. It's getting worse by the day.
I'm actually going to have to head off in a minute anyway, but sadly, I've got. But yeah, aquatic seeds. Sorry.
No, not legally. If we're talking about the ones from Wish, not legally. You can't bring them in, to my understanding. If the authorities find it on the way through, they'll destroy it. And also, from my understanding, the seeds are just for like lawn grass type seeds, so they're not going to grow properly underwater anyway. They last for a couple of weeks and then just die off. So, no, we can't get aquatic seeds, and I don't believe any wholesalers are selling anything from New Zealand to sell via seeds.
No. Do you guys get? No, you don't get in vitro plants, do you?
No, not at the moment.
No, because they kind of, when you buy them and you buy a tub of like grass, I can't remember the name, but you get so many different shoots in them that it's just as You get the same effect if you're growing with the seed. And if you do a dry start, then it's really good. I've seen that done a few times.
Cool. So just to clarify, I'm pretty sure it's my internet that's rubbish. I'll rephrase it. I know that it's my internet that's rubbish. We've been in this building now for 6 months, and Chorus has only just gone and put our internet box in, so I have had to be running on data for the last 6 months, and it's just been getting worse and worse and worse over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I can't sit at my office desk or the main desk and have my phone connected to the internet. I've got to walk somewhere else to make it work. And it's getting worse and worse in this room as well. It doesn't help that most of the building's brick. But yeah, I believe it's probably my internet that everyone's struggling with. So I apologize for that. Hopefully in the next few weeks I'll have internet properly connected and we won't have any more issues like that at all.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, I'm going to have to shoot off now, Cam.
Cool.
I'll catch up with you again. Thanks, guys, and hope everybody has a good weekend.
Cool.
And,
thank you very much.
We'll speak to you next week.
Right. Cheers, go. Yep. And yep, so now you've got just me. And you're right, yeah. Aqua House is in the process to try and sort some of that stuff out, which is fantastic. So fingers crossed they can get moving with in vitro stuff, and we have another option for plants. It'll be really good if that is the case. It'd be great. So yeah, fingers crossed that goes across the line, and there's more options for the New Zealand holiest, because that'll be fantastic. Cool. So now John is gone, it's always really weird for me. At least when John's on the screen, I feel like I'm having a conversation with somebody, as opposed to just reading words that come up and then responding to it. So it's always a bit of a shift for me to running through that. But I suppose I'll just clarify again what we were talking about earlier. If there's anybody that you're looking forward, like me, to try and get a guest on with, please feel free to leave us a message or send us an email or a direct message or what have you, and I'll try my hardest to get them on. Doesn't matter who they are, we'll give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Someone can say no. It is what it is. We've released a couple of podcasts this week. The one we had with Richie from before December, and Cameron, myself, and Ryan have also begun producing a podcast called 3 Idiots Talk Aquariums. So yeah, feel free to jump onto them on Spotify and YouTube if you want to follow them. That'd be fantastic for it. And again, any feedback that you can give us on them, it'll be fantastic as well. We're kind of going in blind. We've got a massive list of topics we're running through, and every episode we do breaks in a little bit deeper and deeper. So yeah, if there's other stuff you want us to talk about, please feel free to let us know, and we'll do that. Or if you've got any feedback on that, it'd be fantastic as well. Frozen Food Friday came out today. Chopped krill. So that's available on YouTube right now. And we've got some new fish that are ready to rock and roll coming out today or tomorrow into our shop and online. So that's a good time as well. Twitch. What's Twitch? All these crazy new things people are talking about. I don't know what Twitch is, and I don't know what Discord is, but I keep seeing them, being told about them all the time. So yeah. All right then, Tim. If that's it and there's no one else who's got any more comments or questions, then can you give crew the first one? Yeah, absolutely. It's more designed for saltwater stuff, but yeah, you can feed into freshwater. The ones we did were sent to freshwater, so fed to freshwater. So away you go. Again, I'm curious to know the responses of that. When it comes to the freshwater fish, and Rebecca brought some things up earlier about different vitamins, minerals, and stuff that are in them. So I'm going to do a little bit more research when it comes to that as well. Yeah. There we go. Twitch is a live streaming platform we'll use for games. Cool. I don't play games, that's why I don't know what Twitch is about. Just a streaming platform. Discord is trash talk. And Twitch is for young and thing. Well, I do like to talk trash. Maybe I should be Discording it. And yeah, I don't do games, so that's probably why I don't know what Twitch is. Cool. Oh, thank you for clarifying what Twitch and Discord is for me. Yeah. If that's all we've got, I'm going to use everything that was gaming. I could just see you doing hot tub stream. Is that where I'm sitting in a hot tub talking trash? Because I probably wouldn't do that. Right. Yep. So that's me. I've got some work to do, some things to do. There's more research for upcoming videos, upcoming blog articles, and all that kind of good stuff. So on that note, John wrote a really good blog article on cycling aquariums the other day, which is on our website. It's under the Aqua Journal, right at the bottom of the page. I linked to it on our Facebook page the other day. So if you're into a little bit of casual reading on a Friday afternoon, get into that. All right, team, I'm out of here. Have a good one. Happy fish keeping. Catch you later.